Exposed, the heartwarming journey of 12 incredible women who overcame the pain of temple life in a small town. In the hushed sanctuary of a quaint Midwestern church, 12 remarkable women gathered, tethered together by the scars of their past and the flicker of hope that whispered through their hearts. Together, they had escaped the suffocating grip of a nearby temple that had dictated their lives for far too long. Now, they found solace in one another, weaving a tapestry of resilience. Sarah, a single mother in her early 30s, juggled 3 jobs to keep food on the table. Her arms, weary from the long hours, still hugged her children tighter than ever. She glanced around the room, her heart swelling as she thought of the heavy family expectations she fought against daily. Behind her, Lydia, a war veteran in her 40s, wrestled with memories that clawed at her soul. The shadows flickered in her eyes, a testament to battles fought both overseas and within. Across from her sat Maria, a reflective woman in her 50s, whose heart ached for her estranged daughter. The silence between them was deafening, each day echoing the generational pain that had built walls between them. Everyone here carried their burdens with grace, like flowers struggling to bloom through cracks in concrete. Their stories unfolded, each one more powerful than the last. Laughter bubbled up at the least expected moments, like a warm sun breaking through a cloudy sky. Every potluck they organized and every event at the community center was infused with love, camaraderie, and the recognition that together, they could challenge societal norms that had kept them sidelined for so long. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came the tornado, a furious tempest that ripped through their town, reducing homes to debris and dreams to splinters. The storm's fury gave way to a haunting silence as they sifted through the wreckage. In that moment of destruction, when everything felt lost, the women found something greater, a bond forged in heartache and resilience. Pushing through the chaos, the women rose together. They decided to turn the calamity on its head, to gather their voices and rally the community. They would not be silenced any longer. United by their shared struggles, they organized an event to showcase their courage, drawing the curiosity of local media. This was more than an announcement, it was a declaration. However, just as recognition hovered on the horizon, a shocking revelation surfaced, sending tremors through their sisterhood. Hidden truths and unspoken fears threatened to fracture what they had built. As they prepared for their moment of triumph, each woman faced her own reckoning, revealing a world of pain, yes, but also a world of remarkable strength. Could they transcend the trials of their past? Could sisterhood stand firm against the tide of doubt, and resonate through the uncertainty of their futures? The question loomed in the air as they regrouped, a palpable tension binding their fates together. Sarah cleared her throat, the weight of her emotions pressing heavily on her chest. She could feel the gaze of the others, their faces a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The upcoming gathering was supposed to be their moment, a chance to embrace their identities beyond the walls of the temple, yet fear wrapped its fingers around her heart. I think we need to talk about what has been happening, she said, her voice shaking slightly. We can't move forward if we're still carrying all this weight. She glanced at Lydia, who nodded silently, a small rush of solidarity igniting a flicker of courage within the group. What if we share our truths, the hidden parts? Lydia's words broke through the silence, her eyes steady yet soft. It's not just about the storm anymore. It's about us, about our stories and the parts we haven't spoken of. Maria shifted in her seat, thoughtfully biting her lip. We've built this beautiful thing together. But I feel like we're still holding back. If we're going to rally the community, we need to be real, not just brave faces. A murmur of agreement rippled through the room. Each woman wore a mask of courage, but beneath it lay threads of concealed pain, knotted tightly. Fine, Sarah breathed, feeling empowered by the rising tide of collective resolve. I'll go first. As she began to share her story how the relentless demands of her family often drowned out her own aspirations, her spirit lifted. It was liberating to utter those words out loud. She spoke of late nights spent at the diner, exhaustion clawing at her, yet the tiny faces of her children reminding her of her purpose. Then followed Lydia's story. She talked of her military service, the battles fought beyond the borders where she had earned honor and accolades, yet felt empty when she returned home, unable to reconnect with those she loved. Anguish etched itself into her voice as she recounted nights spent haunted by the ghosts of friends lost. With each shared encounter, the warmth in the room grew, knitting the women closer together as truths bubbled to the surface. Maria talked about her daughter, the estrangement that felt like a dagger lodged in her heart. Every time I pick up the phone I hesitate. What do I even say? The tears welled in her eyes, but her voice was steady. I can't bear this distance anymore. Maybe I don't want to fight this alone. In this circle of vulnerability, each woman surrendered a piece of herself. It was painful, yes, but somehow it sparked healing. They laughed through tears, recognized strength in frailty, and embraced the discomfort of truth-sharing. But just as the air felt lighter, a chilling gust of uncertainty swept through. What if they turn on us? What if sharing our stories only makes things worse? Lydia's voice trembled, hinting at their underlying fears. The world out there is still out there, Maria reminded them gently, her gaze steady. But we have each other, and what we're doing here, it matters. We can't give in to fear. As each heart laid bare, their bond tightened even further. They knitted cords of support, resolving that, regardless of what happened next, they wouldn't navigate the storm alone. When Sarah resumed her role as the de facto leader, a warmth coursed through her. They were still on that precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. She looked around the circle, a swell of gratitude filling her chest. But somewhere deep within, a worry festered. Could they really face the outside world together? That night, they planned for the event, their laughter weaving through the heavy moments of truth. Yet beneath it all, Sarah couldn't shake the sense that another storm was brewing, a realization yet to unfold. What would they uncover about themselves and each other when the time for truth came again? Could they truly shed the burdens of their pasts? The air crackled with uncertainty as they left the sanctuary that night, doubts lingering on the edges of thoughts like storm clouds ready to break free. The next gathering approached, and anticipation hung thick in the air. Sarah could see it etched on the faces of her friends, a mixture of excitement and dread. The weight of their previous conversations hung like a shroud, both comforting and suffocating. Would their truths fortify their growing bond, or would they unravel it further? They met in a small community hall, chairs arranged in a circle, the flicker of candlelight casting soft shadows that danced across the walls. It felt intimate, a sanctuary away from the prying eyes of the world. As old as the building was, it felt fresh with promise. Tonight, we honor each other, Lydia said, her voice clear and unwavering. We've looked into ourselves, but we must also look outwards to those we hope to touch with our stories. Sarah felt a swell of energy. The plan was laid out. They would each share a piece of their lives, not only to heal but to reach others. A sense of purpose blossomed, transforming anxiety into fierce determination. Maria pulled at her shirt nervously, glancing at the others. What if they judge us? She whispered, almost to herself. Then they judge us, Lydia replied firmly. But we will be honest. And that is powerful. As the stories rolled out, they were met with encouraging nods and warm smiles, fueling energy in the room. Each woman spoke candidly, peeling back layers they had kept so carefully hidden from the world, believing vulnerability was a weakness. Finally, it was Sarah's turn. Standing before them, she felt exposed yet electrified. Sharing her weight felt like a tide rolling out. Once it started, it could not be stopped. I grew up thinking my worth was tied to everyone else's happiness, she began, surprise flickering on some faces. And I lost myself in trying to please my family, my friends, everyone except me. There was a collective intake of breath. The rawness of her confession hung thick, a weight shared. I had dreams, dreams that seemed insignificant in the eyes of others. I wanted to be a writer, she continued, her gaze sweeping around the circle, connecting to each woman's eyes. But those dreams felt selfish compared to what I owed my family. A pause settled in. She felt her heart racing, almost panting for validation. Would they understand? Lydia broke the silence, raising her hand. Sarah, you are not alone. I buried my dreams too. I wanted to teach, to guide future generations, but life took me on a different path. In that moment, the circle tightened. The women's stories interwove, connecting through shared sentiments, bravery pouring forth, vulnerability becoming their new strength. Tears mingled with laughter as they recalled old fears turned into newfound hopes. However, as the night deepened, so did the realization of their shared struggle. What if tomorrow, the world didn't embrace their honesty? What if they faced backlash instead of support? Do we really want to expose ourselves to everyone? What if they misunderstand? Maria's voice trembled with trepidation, uncertainty creeping back in. Lydia stepped forward, her presence imposing. Yes, there's a risk. But we've already taken the leap here. This, she gestured around her, is a foundation. We have to trust that our truths matter. If we don't stand up now, who will? We're stronger than any storm out there. A silence engulfed the room, each woman lost in her own thoughts, grappling with courage against fear. Sarah felt the brewing storm within her. Was this really the moment they would step into the light, bare of pretense? As they gathered hands, a circle of warmth and determination formed, anew. Let us not forget how far we've come, Sarah reminded them softly, her voice steady. Whatever happens, we step forward together. With hearts pounding, they committed to this new step to plant their truths in the world, hoping to nurture a garden of acceptance, understanding, and support. Yet somewhere in the back of Sarah's mind, questions lingered like shadows. Could they truly protect each other from the storm outside? The dawn would bring clarity or chaos, and she couldn't shake the feeling that their real test was still ahead. They had shared their truths, but how would they weather the consequences? The next day loomed near, filled with uncertainty and uncharted possibilities. The morning light filtered through Sarah's bedroom window, casting warm streaks across the walls. She woke up with a sense of exhaustion clinging to her. Last night's gathering replayed in her mind like an old film reel, each moment vivid but laced with uncertainty. As she swung her legs off the bed, a knot tightened in her stomach. What will happen when people find out, she wondered, the question echoing relentlessly. She moved to the kitchen to brew coffee, hoping the rich aroma would anchor her thoughts. But as the coffee brewed, her mind raced back to the honest, raw words shared in the community hall. There was power in vulnerability, yet fear lurked just beneath the surface. She grabbed her mug, taking a sip of the steaming liquid. It felt good to be alone with her thoughts for a moment. But in the back of her mind, the looming dread of the day nagged at her. Outside, the world felt unchanged. Birds chirped cheerily while the sun rose higher, but Sarah felt trapped in a whirlwind of emotions. She scrolled through her phone, half-heartedly checking social media. The familiarity of trending topics, a mix of superficiality and drama, served only to deepen her anxiety. I need to reach out, she thought, thinking of the women from last night. They'd bonded in a way she had never expected, and the more she considered it, the more she craved their presence. Minutes later, she found herself texting the group. Hey, anyone up for coffee before work? I really need to talk. Almost instantly, replies came flooding in, warm and encouraging. Lydia suggested meeting at a nearby cafe, and in no time, the plan was set. As Sarah arrived at the cafe, her heart raced. She spotted Lydia at a corner table, her smile bright and welcoming. Maria and another friend, Jasmine, arrived shortly after, bringing with them a whirlwind of chatter and laughter. Sitting down with them, Sarah felt a warmth suffuse her, a comforting reminder that they were all in this together. Last night was something else, huh? Lydia said, stirring her coffee. The others nodded, sharing knowing glances that spoke volumes. "Yeah, but now I'm scared," Maria admitted. "What if they don't understand? What if they think we're just, complain why?" A silence fell over the table, each woman grappling with her own insecurities, the weight of vulnerability still fresh. Sarah leaned forward, her voice low but firm. "We can't control how others react. But we have each other. That means something. We have to believe our message is bigger than their misunderstanding." A moment of shared silence followed. The room hummed with quiet conversations, the sounds melding into a comforting tapestry around them. Jasmine broke the tension, her voice breaking into a playful laugh. "All right, Oprah moment aside, let's lift each other up. What's our game plan for today? Let us empower ourselves before facing the world." Laughter erupted, the tension easing just a little. They started brainstorming, forming plans to share their stories creatively: blogs, social media posts, and community events. Ideas bounced around as the excitement grew, their fear gradually lessening in the face of a united front. "Imagine how many people we could inspire," Lydia said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. Just then, the cafe door swung open, and a group of people entered. A familiar face caught Sarah's eye. It was Cindy, her old high school nemesis, a girl known for her biting remarks and dismissive laughter. The past rushed back, flooding Sarah with anxiety. Is she here to judge? Sarah thought, her heart racing. Just as quickly, she looked to her friends, who were oblivious to her discomfort, wrapped up in their brainstorming. But what if Cindy brought that judgment with her? What if her presence shattered the fragile hope they had built? Sarah felt a rush of determination. This was her moment to stand firm, to rise above the past. Would she allow old fears to dictate her future? The question loomed heavy, leaving her breathless. As Cindy approached, Sarah took a deep breath, gripping her coffee cup as if it were a lifeline. The moment was upon her. Would this confrontation break them, or would it strengthen their resolve yet again? "Here we go," Sarah whispered to herself, caught between hope and trepidation. As Cindy strode closer, her friends were still lost in their laughter, oblivious to the storm brewing inside Sarah. The air thickened, heavy with unsaid words and memories that flickered behind her eyes. Sarah couldn't deny it. Cindy's presence was like a sharp intake of breath, startling and unwelcome yet undeniable. "Sarah!" Cindy called out, her tone sharp yet surprised. "I didn't expect to see you here." The other women fell quiet, eyes darting between Sarah and Cindy. Sarah felt suddenly exposed, like a person under a bright spotlight while the crowd sat in hushed anticipation. The memories of whispered insults and cutting mockery echoed in her mind. "Hey, Cindy," Sarah replied, keeping her voice steady, trying to mask the tremor beneath. "What brings you here?" Cindy smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Just grabbing some coffee before heading to work. You know how it is, right?" Sarah caught a flicker of vulnerability in Cindy's expression, a softness rarely seen during their high school days. It surprised her. "Yeah, I do," she said carefully. "Staying caffeinated is essential." For a moment, it felt like the world had paused, strange yet familiar. The insecurities that once tethered Sarah to her past began to loosen their grip slightly. Just being present among her friends, standing firm in her own skin, was an act of defiance. "Are you doing well?" Cindy ventured, a slight hesitation creeping into her words. Sarah glanced back at her friends, who were now watching the exchange like a live drama unfolding. Maybe her courage could turn this encounter into something transformative. "I am, actually," she responded, her heart revving in her chest. "We just had this amazing gathering, sharing stories, finding strength together." Cindy's brow furrowed slightly, as if trying to process Sarah's intent. "Oh. I've been meaning to do something like that, too." "Then why not join us next time?" Sarah blurted out before she could stop herself. The unexpected invitation hung in the air, heavy but inviting. The silence that followed was thick with disbelief from her friends and uncertainty from Cindy. Cindy's jaw dropped for a moment, then she shrugged, a hint of defiance surfacing. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Who says I want to be part of a clique? Who says you can't try? Sarah fired back, emboldened by the words she had just spoken. Maybe it's not about fitting in but finding support. We all have our battles. The cafe buzzed with life around them, and Sarah felt each gaze now turned toward her, some intrigued, some questioning, but none mocking. There was a power in her stance, in how her voice rang out clear and strong. It wasn't just about her anymore, it was about all of them facing their fears together. I've been keeping my distance from the past, Cindy finally said, her tone softer now, laced with vulnerability. But I guess she hesitated, I could be brave, too. With that simple statement, the table erupted into tentative but genuine laughter, laughter that began to bridge the gap that years of harsh words had forged. But in that instant, before Sarah could respond, her phone buzzed with a new message notification. Curious, she glanced at the screen. It was a text from an unknown number, but the words sent a jolt through her. We need to talk. Everything is about to change. Her heart raced. Who could it be? What did they want? Is everything okay? Lydia asked, noticing Sarah's expression shift. Sarah's mind whirled. There was something deeper brewing, more than just her confrontation with Cindy. Something beyond the cafe, deeper within her world, and she felt it all converging at this moment. I need to check this, she said, suddenly feeling the weight of impending change. As she read the message again, a chill trickled down her spine. What lay beneath those words? What new challenge awaited? Are you all right? Jasmine probed, her concern palpable. Sarah looked up, her heart at war between fear and anticipation. I don't know. But I think it's leading to something big. I can feel it. And as she grappled with the unknown, Sarah wondered if perhaps the past was not the only heavy weight she needed to shed. In a world where brave conversations were just the beginning, she was about to discover that sometimes, vulnerability is the first step toward a transformation she never could have anticipated. Could this message hold the solution she needed, or was it another battle waiting to unfold? Sarah stared at her screen, the words blurring as her heart thudded loudly in her chest. We need to talk. Everything is about to change. The barista called out for her coffee, breaking her daze, but the warmth of the drink paled in comparison to the chill from that message. Are you sure you're okay? Lydia's voice cut through the noise around them. Her eyes narrowed, reading the tension that had suddenly wrapped around Sarah. I think so. Sarah's voice came out shaky. It's just this text, I'm not sure who it's from. She glanced around, feeling more exposed than ever. The laughter of her friends faded, replaced by the thrum of panic echoing louder than her own heartbeat. Cindy leaned closer, the earlier defiance replaced by a new sense of empathy. Maybe it's someone from our past, she suggested softly. Is it about the gathering you mentioned? You said you found strength in sharing. Maybe you can muster the courage again. Sarah nodded slowly, contemplating the possibilities. What if it was someone trying to make amends? Or worse, someone who wanted to reopen old wounds? The unknown loomed larger than ever, and just when she thought she had clawed her way to some semblance of confidence, uncertainty pulled her back into its grasp. Maybe I should just ignore it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lydia exchanged glances with Jasmine, then turned back, resolute. Or maybe you could ask who it is. You're stronger than you think. Especially now. Yeah, you've faced Cindy after all these years, Jasmine chimed in, her voice surprisingly supportive. What's one more message? Besides, maybe this can turn into something positive. Taking a deep breath, Sarah opened the message again. Her fingers hovered above the screen, the urge to respond battling fear. Okay, I'll reply. Just a simple who is this? As she typed, Cindy watched closely, perhaps seeing the conflict on Sarah's face between fear and the undeniable urge to confront the past. "Done," Sarah said, hitting send, her heart racing. Just then, her phone buzzed again, almost instantly. It was a reply. "It's Claire. We really need to talk." The name hit her like a ton of bricks. Claire. Sarah hadn't thought about her in years. In school, Claire had often been part of the group that flicked barbs learned from their peers, surprisingly cruel for girls who once shared secrets and first loves. The worry crept back in, along with a surge of emotions she thought she had locked away. "It's Claire," Sarah said, her voice shaking. "I haven't heard from her since she hesitated, well, you know. Since everything went down." Cindy's eyes softened again, filled with a mix of curiosity and regret, as if recalling their shared past. "What do you want to do? Do you want me to stay?" The question hung in the air. Just moments ago, she was pushing against the weight of Cindy's presence, but now it felt different, like an unexpected lifeline. The crowd around them buzzed, but it felt distant as the walls seemed to fade away. "No, I think I need to handle this myself." Sarah's voice was steadier now, bolstered by the support of her friends. "But I'm not alone, not anymore." Gathering her resolve, she stared at the screen again and tapped out another message. "Okay. When and where?" A few moments ticked by before Claire replied, "Can we meet at the park? Today at 3. The clock on the cafe wall chimed. It was just before noon, now only a few hours away. That was too soon, yet there was no backing down now. The confrontation that had loomed in her heart like a shadow was finally taking shape. "Sarah, you okay?" Jasmine's question brought her back. She nodded, her throat tight but her heart thumping with purpose. "I'm going to meet her." As her friends exchanged glances, a tight knot of apprehension settled in the air. Sarah felt the weight of the moment. Was it bravery she was stepping into, or recklessness? "Just promise you'll call us afterward," Lydia pressed, concern weaving through her words. "I promise." There was a sense of finality in that promise. The past was creeping back in, but this time, she had something to fight for herself. As they finished their coffees, the atmosphere shifted. No longer were they caught in old cycles of laughter, but something profound lingered. The weight of the unknown lay ahead, intertwined with strands of hope. Whatever was about to unfold in the park, Sarah realized she was no longer the girl hiding in the shadows. She was stepping into her own story. But just what revelations awaited her with Claire? What truths lurked beneath the surface of their shared past? Sarah sat in the park, the air heavy with anticipation. It was a crisp afternoon, the kind where the sun shone brightly but the wind sent little chills darting across her skin. She leaned against a bench, her mind racing. What was Claire going to say? The memories flooded back unbidden, whispered secrets, laughter that turned to taunts, and the sudden, painful silence that had filled the spaces where friendships once flourished. "Stay calm," she muttered to herself, fully aware that talking to Claire was akin to opening a door she had locked away for years. She watched the passers-by, families enjoying picnics, kids laughing as they chased each other, unaware of her turmoil. With every ticking minute, her resolve was tested. Just as the clock struck 3, she spotted Claire approaching. Her heart skipped a beat. Claire looked different, older, maybe a little softer. But the same sharpness lingered in her eyes. Sarah's heart raced, memories spilling over in a torrent. "Sarah," Claire said, stopping a few paces away. The uncertainty in her voice was palpable. "Claire," Sarah replied, striving for steadiness. The air thickened between them, a blend of tension and an unspoken need for clarity. "Thanks for agreeing to meet." Claire shifted from foot to foot, as if she were uncomfortable in these surroundings. Sarah nodded, unsure of what else to say. The silence stretched. She felt the urge to demand answers, to ask why now, why after all these years. But as their eyes locked, something in her softened. Maybe this was a chance, not just for Claire but for her as well. Why now? Sarah managed to voice. I haven't heard from you since I messed up, Claire interrupted, her voice cracking slightly. I'm not here to make excuses. I regret how we left things. Sarah's heart twisted. Regrets, that was what brought them here. But were they the only thing that could patch that torn seam between them? I was hurt. I thought we were friends but you all turned on me, Sarah said, her voice building with emotion. It felt like I was thrown away. Tears misted Claire's eyes, and for a moment, they both were vulnerable. I know, and I'm so sorry for that, she said. It's taken me a long time to understand the pain I caused. I think about you often about how I could have been better. The rawness of this confession hung in the air like a suspended breath. Sarah felt the years of anger unraveling just a little. Do you think that we can really talk about it? Like seriously? Because I'm not sure I'm ready to forgive. I don't expect you to, Claire said quickly. But I want to try. I hated what happened between us. You are important to me. I want to make this right. Sarah swallowed hard, her thoughts swirling. What if this truly was a chance for something new? Yet in the back of her mind lingered the painful memories, the hurt still fresh despite the years. I need time, Sarah finally said, feeling a bit of the weight lift from her shoulders. But I'm willing to explore this whatever it is. Claire smiled, a flicker of hope igniting in her expression. Thank you. I'll be here, whenever you're ready. As they exchanged their numbers, the tension began to melt, transforming into something almost familiar. But as Claire turned to leave, a knot of fear twisted inside Sarah. The past was clawing at her heels, whispering doubts and old fears. What if this moment led to betrayal again? What if the friendship could not be salvaged? She watched Claire as she walked away, a mix of courage and apprehension brewing within. Sarah knew she couldn't retreat into panic now. Not when she had taken a courageous step forward. But could she trust Claire again? Would reopening this door expose her to more pain than she was ready to handle? As the sun began to set, casting golden hues over the park, Sarah felt a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainty. No matter the outcome, she was finally stepping into the light. What other secrets lay buried in their past? And could her heart truly heal this time? The days that followed were a tumultuous mix of excitement and anxiety for Sarah. Each morning, she woke with a pit in her stomach, wondering how to process the encounter with Claire. The sun would warm her face, but shadows of doubt hovered in her mind. Was she really ready to explore this? On the third day, her phone vibrated on the table, a message from Claire. Hey, just wanted to check in. Hope you're doing okay. There was a tremor in Sarah's fingers as she read it. She half expected to feel anger, but instead, warmth washed over her, a strange sense of connection. After crafting and deleting several responses, she finally typed back, "Thanks for reaching out. I'm okay. Just thinking." A sense of nervous anticipation settled. Would Claire reply immediately? Or would she disappear again? To her surprise, the response came within minutes. "Thinking is good. Let me know when you feel ready to talk." Sarah stared at the screen, emotions swirling. The very act of engaging felt risky and liberating. Did she want to share her thoughts with Claire? Was this the first step toward mending a broken friendship? She decided to take a walk along the park pathways, hoping fresh air would clear her mind. As she strolled past familiar trees, the laughter of children echoed around her. A memory flared, the summer they all played here, joyfully wrapped in the innocence of youth. It felt so distant now, like a fading photograph. As she found a quiet bench, a familiar face emerged from the corner of her eye: Lily, the girl who had been inseparable from Claire during their childhood. Sarah's heart thudded. Would she bring memories of betrayal? "Sarah." "Hey." Lily approached, her demeanor bright and inviting. "Hi, Lily. Long time no see," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. Yeah. It's crazy how time flies, she said, sitting down beside Sarah. How have you been? As they talked, Sarah felt barriers crumbling. Despite the painful history with Claire, a warmth blossomed in her chest. Lily didn't shy away from speaking about the younger days, and surprisingly, there was no bitterness in her tone. You know, I was so young back then. We all were. It took me ages to realize how hurtful we were. I wish I could rewind time, she confessed, her eyes pleading for understanding. I felt discarded, Sarah admitted, the weight of her truth spilling out. I lost a part of my life when you all turned on me. I know, Lily replied softly. I can't speak for Claire, but I know she regrets it too. It haunted her for a long time. It might not mean much, but I want to apologize for not standing by you. With each word, Sarah felt the burden lift just a bit more. Thank you, she whispered, surprised by her own calmness. Here was someone who recognized the pain, a reflection of her own silenced hurt. But as the conversation progressed, Claire's name hung like a shadow. Lily tended to share fond memories of Claire, and while it stirred familiar doubts, it also sparked something else, curiosity. What had Claire been feeling all this time? Was it possible there was still love between them, a fragment worth uncovering? As they parted ways, Sarah glanced back at Lily, who waved cheerfully. Her heart was racing, not just from the conversation but from the uncharted territory ahead. Could this really be the beginning of healing? Claire had opened a door, and now Sarah stood on the threshold. Would she step inside to find clarity, or would the memory of hurt drag her back? Feeling a storm of emotions within, Sarah decided to reach out to peel back the layers obscuring the truth. Maybe this was their moment, though fraught with risk. And what if it led her to something brighter than she'd imagined? With a deep breath, she texted Claire, "Let us talk soon." The reply was swift, and her heart raced. I'd like that. What awaited them in that conversation? A new journey, or a closing chapter? The day had arrived. Sarah stood in front of her mirror, heart racing as she adjusted her hair for the umpteenth time. She felt a mix of hope and trepidation. Today, she would talk to Claire. This moment felt monumental, and the weight of it pressed against her chest like a heavy blanket. As she made her way to the cafe where they agreed to meet, familiar sights filtered through her mind, every building and street corner holding echoes of laughter and tears spent with Claire. Would they rekindle that connection, or had too much time passed? With every step, she was reminded of the vulnerability that came with confronting the past. Entering the cafe, Sarah's eyes darted around, searching for Claire. Finally, she spotted her, a familiar face with an unreadable expression. Claire was seated at a table by the window, hands wrapped around a steaming mug. She looked as beautiful as ever, but the tension between them hung thick in the air. "Hey," Sarah managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Hi," Claire replied, her smile tentative but genuine. It sent a ripple of warmth through Sarah's heart. They both sat down, the silence stretching uncomfortably. Each woman's gaze flitted away, as if staring too long might ignite old wounds. Sarah felt her stomach churn with nerves. But beneath that lay resolve, the desire to push through the pain. "So I'm glad we're finally doing this," Claire said, breaking the silence. Her voice was softer than Sarah remembered. "Me too," Sarah said, forcing a smile. "I mean, I want to understand everything that happened." Claire nodded, looking down at her mug. "Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. I don't even know where to start." "How about the beginning?" Sarah suggested. "Why did things change between us?" Claire took a deep breath. "I think we were all just kids, trying to figure ourselves out. But I made choices that hurt you and I regret them." The admission hung between them, heavy with history. Sarah found herself holding back tears, realizing how much she needed to hear those words. "I felt so alone," she confessed, vulnerability pouring out like a cracked dam. "Like I lost my best friend when you all chose to turn against me." "I know," Claire replied, her eyes glistening. And I wish I could take it all back. It wasn't just you who suffered. That decision haunted me. I've spent years wishing I could have done things differently. Sarah's heart fluttered a mix of sorrow and compassion. For the first time, Claire's pain mirrored her own, and it ignited an unexpected spark of connection. I wasn't sure you cared anymore, she admitted, her voice trembling. I do, Sarah. I always have. Claire leaned forward, her gaze earnest. I was just scared of facing it. Scared of seeing you again and having to confront my mistakes. In that moment, the years of separation began to dissolve. But doubt still lingered, gnawing at the edges of their reunion. Could they rebuild what was lost? Do you think we can find a way back to each other? Can we really start over? Sarah asked, her voice barely a whisper. I want to try, Claire replied, hope flickering in her eyes. But it won't be easy. We'll have to unpack a lot. As they spoke, the cafe began to fade away, and all that mattered was the two of them, a world without judgment or resentment. Sarah felt a glimmer of optimism bloom within her, yet apprehension lingered. What if old wounds throbbed again? What if they couldn't sustain this fragile new beginning? The questions loomed as they moved deeper into their conversation, each layer unearthing raw emotions. The storm of the past remained, but so did the promise of healing. And just as Sarah was ready to lean fully into this new narrative, a tremor in her phone jolted her back to the moment. Sorry, I need to check this, she said, but the pounding in her chest drowned out the rest. Was this about to derail their fragile talks, or could it lead to healing she desperately craved? Sarah hesitated, fingers trembling over her screen as she saw the name flash across, Lily. What new revelations awaited her? With her heart racing, Sarah glanced quickly at Claire, who looked both curious and slightly concerned. The world around them faded, a blur of chatter and clinking cups, as she opened the message from Lily. Sarah, I just heard something. It's about the gathering. A wave of apprehension washed over her. What could Lily possibly mean? The gatherings had been a safe space, a sanctuary for sharing struggles and healing within their sisterhood. I need to respond, she murmured to Claire, planting her phone on the table. Okay, Claire nodded, concern flickering in her eyes. With a few taps, Sarah sent a quick reply, her mind swirling. The atmosphere between her and Claire shifted back to something tangible, yet Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down on her. They were on the precipice of rebuilding their relationship, but fear lurked like shadows in the corners of her mind. Just as she studied Claire's gaze full of longing and regret, her phone buzzed again. This time, Sarah's heart dropped as she read the words, I can't explain it over text, call me. The implication churned her stomach. Oh boy, she whispered, glancing at Claire. I think I should take this. Go ahead. I'll be right here, Claire replied, her expression softening. Stepping away from the table, Sarah found a quieter corner. She tapped her phone, voice laced with uncertainty. Lily? What is going on? Sarah, I'm worried. I heard some people talking about backlash from the gathering. Some folks are downright angry over what we shared. They think we made the town look bad. Her heart sank. What do you mean? It could get messy. There might be accusations thrown around. I felt like you needed to know before it just shows up in gossip. A silence thickened the air. I thought they would be supportive, Sarah murmured, a lump forming in her throat. I thought so too. But, if there's enough noise, people can twist it, Lily said gently. Just be careful. Okay, thank you for telling me, Sarah replied, her heart heavy. Once the call ended, she stood there for a moment, battling a whirlwind of emotions. How could people turn against them after everything they'd been through? Returning to Claire, Sarah sat down, needing to convey the weight of what she'd just learned. We might have a problem, she said, her voice trembling with urgency. What is going on? Claire asked, her brows knitting in worry. The gathering people might not react well to our honesty. Lily just called and said there's talk of backlash, people being angry about how we opened up. Claire's expression fell, her eyes widening. I can't believe that. We were just trying to be honest. I know, Sarah said, her heart aching. How do we even prepare for this? Maybe we need to face it head on, Claire suggested, her tone fervent. We've done so much already sharing our stories. We owe it to ourselves to keep that authenticity, even if people misunderstand. Sarah felt the tension in the air shift. They were making another pivotal choice together. It was terrifying yet inspiring. You're right, she said, her heart swelling with determination. Just like before, we'll unify. We can't be scared of our own truth. A flicker of hope ignited deep within her. As they spoke through the uncertainty, gradually sharing ideas on how to counter the negative reaction, something shifted, a sense of solidarity that felt familiar, like old friends reconnecting. Let us gather all the women again, Claire said. We need each other more than ever right now. Together, we're stronger. Yes. Sarah exclaimed, her spirits lifting. Just like before the potlucks, we'll lean on our community to support our message. As they brainstormed, thoughts of fear began to evaporate, replaced by purpose and a united front. They shuffled through different strategies, each idea sparking another. Just as Sarah felt the swell of anticipation, her phone buzzed once more. Glancing at the screen, her heart leaped as she saw a new message from the group. Let us meet tonight to talk about the gathering. A shared determination filled her as she tapped back, count me in. Let us turn this around, Sarah said, looking back up at Claire, her voice resolute. We can't let fear dictate our mission. Standing together, we can shine a light where there's darkness. The air thrummed with optimism and strength, every moment feeling like a stepping stone toward healing, not just for Sarah and Claire but for all 12 women. They were not just individuals, they were a community ready to rise again. As shadows fell outside the window, marking the transition into evening, Sarah and Claire gathered their resolve, their hearts beating in tandem with a newfound determination to face whatever came next. Together, they would weave their story into a tapestry of hope, connection, and truth, and in that moment, a realization settled deep within Sarah. Sometimes, facing the storms of life reveals the resilience you never knew you had. Now, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Don't forget to comment your reactions and feelings about this incredible transformation. And you must share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who are ready to embrace their own journey. Don't wait not even one more second to share your part of this story now.